Good afternoon, everyone. We are ready to go. I want to thank everyone who's here for being here for the very last Go-To training session. My name is Justin Hardy, and I'm one of the instructors for digital literacy. And today we are joined by Jeremiah Moore and Peter Francis, who are also instructors for digital literacy. So as we're going throughout this session, it's not going to be as long as the first session. We're going to be in here for about 30 to 45 minutes, so it's going to be a bit shorter. But if you have any questions as we go along, they would be more than happy to answer those in the chat box if I just happen to miss them while I'm explaining something. So if you don't hear a response from me, you will definitely get an answer from one of them. Okay, so we are ready to begin. So here's what we're going to be covering today. We're going to talk about the discussion post that you guys are going to be working on through today and Wednesday night, and your response post, like all the others. And then we're going to have a basic overview of the assignment that's due at the end of this week, some of the expectations for that, and then just one more reminder for due dates for both your discussion assignment and your quiz. All right, so if you have any questions about the 9 elements of digital citizenship, we do have an article available to you in the Read and View activity, but there's also a video available in the Week 4 live session View Video activity. So we don't have the archive for what we're hosting right now, but we do have a video for the 9 elements. So if you want to check that out and read along with the article as you're listening, feel free to do so. So now let's move into the discussion for week 4 and what your topics are going to be and some of the expectations for that. All right, so the basic overview for discussion 4 is that the internet and technology in general have changed virtually every aspect of our lives. I'm pretty sure a lot of us can agree on that. Digital technology provides enormous benefits, but it also poses a lot of new problems and plenty of challenges. So this week's discussion involves the safeguards we can take to maintain our privacy and security online, as well as how we can become proactive global digital citizens. So that's the lens that we would like you to take when coming up with answers to these topics. So what we would like you to do is to share some of your thoughts on these topics here available to you. There are 4 available. We want you to give us answers for at least 3 of these. So the first one is, as a professional in the entertainment, film, or media industry, which of the 9 elements of digital citizenship is the most important to you? Now, there's no right or wrong answer. We want the one that's most important to you after you review what they all are. So we definitely would love to know your thoughts on that. So we'd also like you to share some examples of when any of these issues have affected you or someone that you know. Okay, so that's your first topic. The second one available is, what are the risks of not being aware of these digital citizenship topics? The third topic is, what are some examples of digital etiquette in the real world? And what are some positive examples of digital etiquette and some negative examples of digital etiquette? So digital etiquette is essentially how you behave online and what sort of behavior you find to be acceptable, whether you're on a forum or in a chat room or watching a stream. There's going to be certain levels of conduct that are acceptable and some that are not. It's going to vary from place to place. So it's always important to understand when and where you need to apply digital etiquette. And I'm sure we all have some examples in our lives of where someone was either rude to us or we happen to be rude to them, whatever the story happens to be. Sometimes digital etiquette isn't followed closely. So we'd like to hear some of your thoughts about good examples and maybe some bad experiences that you might want to talk about. So that's, again, going to be your third topic. The fourth one and last topic available is, how long do you use the internet per day? If I answered this question, it would be extremely embarrassing, so I'm not going to. It's important to consider your wellness and health when using your digital tools, and not just your computer. That's counting your phone, your tablet, your Xbox, whatever it happens to be. What strategies do you use to moderate your time spent online, and what kind of activities do you do that don't involve the online space? So we'd like to know a little bit about that as well. So those are the 4 topics available to you. As usual, we would like to see your initial post posted by 11:59 Wednesday night Pacific time. That's going to be your initial due date for the initial post. In your response post, we'd like you to reply to at least 2 of your classmates, and we want you to avoid saying "I agree" or "good point" or any of those basic cookie cutter sort of responses. Make your responses conversational, detailed, ask questions, maybe reply to a couple of statements that the student made in their answers, create a rapport, a conversation with this person so that maybe they'll respond to you and you can create a networking opportunity or just a good line of conversation. So we do want to see substantive responses, not just 2 or 3 word responses or single sentences. So definitely beef those up and make those detailed for this home stretch. This is the rubric that we will be using when we're assessing your discussion post, both your initial post and your response post. So make sure that you're staying relevant, that you're on topic. You want to make sure that you're being thorough and clear, so include as many details as you can, and make sure that your thoughts are organized in a logical order so that it makes sense. And we want you to make sure that you're responding to your classmates with detailed responses and feedback. So again, don't limit your responses to single words or single sentences. Give us 3 or 4 sentences, a nice beefy paragraph as your responses to your classmates. And of course, we're also looking at writing mechanics. So run your post through spell check if you want to, just to make sure that you catch all those little errors. Or what helps me is I'll read my post or my message out loud, and that will help me catch some of those pacing or grammatical mistakes that I might not see if I'm just reading the same paragraph over and over again. It's very easy to kind of miss those mistakes when you're used to seeing the same information over and over again. So it's helpful to kind of take a step back and review your post before you hit send to make sure that you maximize your score. All right. Are there any questions about the discussion? You guys are getting pretty good at these, so I don't expect there to be too many concerns. If there are, go ahead and reload those in the chat. But now we are going to go ahead and move on to the assignment that's going to be due this Sunday. We are moving pretty quickly, but I think we'll be okay with that. Okay, so this is the 4th assignment for week 4, and here's what we're asking you to do. And just so you guys will have a little bit of an example to work from, I'm going to bring up an example of what the finished assignment looks like in facsimile, so you can kind of see how long the treatment paragraph needs to be and where you can put your links and so on. That's a little bit later. I just wanted to give you an update that we do have that available, and I will give that a bit of a demonstration a bit later. Okay, so here's our basic overview. Digital technology provides powerful tools and unprecedented opportunity for communication, creativity, and commerce. So thinking about buying and selling things online, viewing people's artwork, purchasing their artwork, and how we can stay connected with each other via social media such as Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and whatever your poison happens to be. However, digital technology can also be used in negative and harmful ways. And I'm pretty sure we can think of all sorts of ways that might apply. And it's important to learn to be a good digital citizen and to learn to safeguard your privacy and your security online. So who you are and what you've got online that may be valuable, such as bank account numbers, credit cards, accounts of any kind. You want to keep that stuff secure, and you also want to make sure that you know how to operate those things in a safe way so that you don't leave yourself vulnerable. So here's what you're going to need. You want to consider how you, as a burgeoning professional in the media and entertainment industry, could raise public awareness to create a positive impact among a specific group of people regarding an important aspect of digital responsibility, such as, and by no means are you limited to these examples that I'm going to give you, online privacy, digital distractions, the environment and societal impact of technology, and health and technology. So these are just a couple of different broad topics. Now you can dive into subtopics and get way more specific with this when you're doing your research, but by no means are these the big topics that we're asking for you to consider absent of anything else. Just these are a good place to start. Some thought starters in addition to these can be available here. I'm going to go ahead and enter that in the chat. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, there is a link available in the instructions, so you can just click here and you'll have access to that. And this gives you a lot more topics than what we've covered in just the examples here in the instructions. So if you don't like the ones that you see there, they're not really working for you in terms of inspiration, you've got a whole lot more here that you can take into consideration as well. And these links will take you to the specific website so you can start building your information base and your research So when you're writing your treatment, you'll have all the correct information available. You'll have all of the information you need in order to create the treatment that is most effective for describing and getting people to consider your stance on a particular aspect of digital responsibility. So that's just one example. All right, so here's how we want you to prepare after you've come up with your topic and you've started doing your research. So you're going to select your topic, conduct your own additional research, and then create a community public service promotional piece. Now, here are some examples of things that you can create, but by all means, you're not limited to these. And if you're not sure, reach out to your instructor. More than happy to let you know what formats are acceptable or whether or not you have enough time to complete your idea. Sometimes we get some complex ones. We want to make sure that you guys have enough time to pull this together. So you can create a poster, a billboard, a print, or online display ad. So if you've got access to Microsoft Paint, Photoshop, any sort of image creation software, you can make your own image it doesn't have to be on a billboard. It can just be representative of what you would see on a billboard. So that's an example that you can do. You can also create an audio file of a radio public service message. So you can create a script for a radio commercial and then act out that commercial verbally if you'd like. You can also create a storyboard for a short public service video or film. So in this case, it would be sequential boxes that would show the different scenes of a prospective commercial. You don't have to film anything. You don't have to animate anything. It would just be essentially a plan of what this would look like if you were to shoot it. And you also have the opportunity to create a short public service video message. Now, this video message can have you speaking to the camera, but if that's not something you're comfortable with, you can overlay your video with your voice and various images that support the information that you're speaking about. You don't want to grab just a video off YouTube or a video off Vimeo or just grab anything off Google for your promotional piece. What we have available is something called Creative Commons. And I'm going to go ahead and throw this in the chat too. And if you're watching at home, you should see the URL there. It's search.creativecommons.org. This is what we would like you to use if you're searching for media to use in your projects, not just for week 4 and for our purposes, but for all of your classes at LA Film School beyond digital literacy. You never want to just grab what you find on YouTube or Google just because of the fact that you don't know who owns that material. It may be something that's okay to use. It may be owned by someone. And think about the idea of you being a creator and someone taking something that you made without permission and using it for whatever. Generally, you don't want that to happen. You want to defend your work, and that can get a little strange in terms of legality. You don't want that problem. You don't want to deal with that. Make sure that you use Creative Commons searches for all of your assignments and all of your own research. If you're just doing research on your own or working on a freelance gig, this also gives you the opportunity to find free imagery, free video, free audio that you can use in your projects for paid projects. So there are different permission levels available. Those are going to be outlined clearly as you search through, but this is your one-stop shop to making sure that everything that you use in your projects, whether they're paid or whether they're academic, is free and you're not going to run into any trouble. So that's, again, search.creativecommons.org. And we've got some example text in here. So texting and driving, like if I were to do a search, an image search, I can guarantee, for the most part, that all of these images are going to be available for me to use for free. Now I'm hovering over them so I can see the URL. This is from Flickr. This is from freestockphotos.biz. This is from Tinker. This one's from Ellsworth. So there's a couple of different websites available here. If I click on this image and then visit, I can see that I can maybe pay for this image if I want to donate, but if I don't want to donate, I can just download it and I'm good to go. Okay, so they're going to ask me to log in on this one. So keep in mind that just because this stuff is free, they may make you jump through a couple of hoops to get access to it. But for example, if I go to the Flickr one instead and we visit the website, this one should be a lot easier for me to get a hold of. Let's see if we can do that. Right here, I can click the download button, pick my size, large, and I suddenly have an image that I can use for my project, for a freelance gig, or for just general research. So that's just a basic Google image search using the search.creativecommons.org tool. So this is your one-stop shop. Start here, and if you have any questions about anything you find, you can reach out to your instructor and we'll point you in the right direction. Okay, so that's finding resources for your PSA. So after you've picked your topic and after you've decided on what you want to create and after you've done your searching for some of your materials, here's what comes next. You're going to start creating. So part one, you're going to develop your promotional piece using the software of your choice. So if you're a Photoshop guru, an Illustrator guru, if you're really good with those programs, by all means use them. If you've never heard of Photoshop and you don't know how to use it at all, use what you know. Your goal is to communicate to a specific target audience to make them aware of something important that they should know about the rights, responsibilities, or risks associated with digital citizenship, and to present a call to action, encouraging them in the steps that they should take as a result of your message. So a call to action is basically, what do you want people to do? And once you come up with that, that's going to be the very last thing you say. After all the important statistics and information and why your topic's important, you're going to give people a direction on where they can take their concern. So always, always, always give a call to action if you're ever pitching something, if you're ever creating a public service announcement or any sort of message that you want to get out to a lot of people. You want it to be actionable. You don't want them to just take in the information and say, well, okay, I'm going to forget this in 5 minutes. Give them something to do, and they're going to be more likely to retain that information, even if they just remember the message. That's sometimes enough. Okay, regardless of what form you choose for your created promotional piece, you must also include a treatment. Now, this is an industry term meaning a paragraph or two that explains your piece. Your treatment should describe. And now, I'm going to describe this and give you a visual at the same time. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull up Word. Now, this is a student example here. So, here's what you want to include. The intended medium of your promotional piece. The intended medium of this PSA was to be a brief storyline I created as an advertisement video with background audio. There it is. That's perfect. The intended target audience. I would have to say that my main audience would be onlookers, fellow students, teachers, friends, and parents. That's pretty general, but you can get more specific if you want to. Next, you want to include the main issue you chose to address. The main issue here is the impact of cyberbullying that can have on today's younger generation. And the call to action here at the very end is, in order to see others succeed, we must need someone to be the bigger person and do what they need to help. And that's going to be essentially their PSA. Now, you'll see some resources here. They've got Google Images, and they've got CT Mixer for where they got their audio and video, right? That's good. That's all important. But we're missing something else, aren't we? Where'd they get their research? You want to make sure that you include your research, whether it's Google, whether it's articles that you find. Make sure that you include both your Creative Commons for all the resources that you use, but also include the resources for your information. So if we wanted to find an article that we could include with this for our research, just as an example, we can type in cyberbullying. Let's go to maybe our third link here. So we've got cyberbullying.org. And here's the thing about research. We're not looking for MLA or APA formatting. All we need is the URL of the website that you used. So for here, let's go ahead and throw that in there. And maybe we don't want just one piece of research. We want to make sure that we're well-rounded. We've got one more piece of research in here that we can include. So make sure that you do include all sources, not just sources for your information, but sources on where you got your media. All right, so this is the basic overall look for how your treatment should be. Make sure that you cover your intended medium. Make sure that you cover your target audience. Make sure that you cover the main issue, and then you give people something to do, their call to action. You also want to include your resources for where you got your information and how you built your promotional piece. And then you definitely don't want to forget a link or an upload with your compressed document, including your treatment of your PSA. So we have our link here. We can see our video, and I'm not going to play the whole thing, but we can see that there's information in here and that this is a pretty effective PSA. This looks nice. It's got a little bit of music in there. It's very visual. We can see that this is going to hopefully affect someone and maybe affect some change. So that's the general overview of the week 4 assignment. Make sure that you use some Creative Commons resources for that, so you're not just grabbing things off Google. Make sure that you create a PSA treatment that covers all of the material that is covered in part 2. And then when you're ready to submit, make sure that you include a document with your first name, underscore last name, underscore A4. We're gonna have to change that. And then you can upload that as we have for the first 3 weeks of time. So if there are any questions, I would like to take those at this time for week 4's assignment. If you don't have any questions, thank you very much for being here. We had an excellent time with you all. We hope that you had a good time with us. And congratulations, we've reached the very end of digital literacy. You made it. So thank you for being here. We really appreciate your time. If you have any questions, if you're watching this after the fact at home, make sure that you message your instructor. We're more than happy to assist you in any way we can.